Okay, we will now continue with justifying circumstances. We had an introduction of this particular kind of circumstance that will affect criminal liability. So let's go over them before we continue on with the next part. So we mentioned that in justifying circumstance, it will be presumed that the person acted in accordance with the law, meaning legal yung ginawa niya. And because he acted in accordance with the law, he is free from both criminal and civil liability. So, hindi magbabayad ng damages at saka hindi makukulong ang ating akusado. Okay, next one. We did mention that whoever raises the defense of justifying circumstance will have to prove it himself. So meaning si accused po ang mag-prove na may justifying circumstance dun sa ginawa niya in that particular case. What type or what weight of evidence or proof does the accused have to prove? We have what we call clear and convincing evidence. We also mentioned that there are 6 kinds of justifying circumstances under our revised penal code. We will start off with self-defense. And in self-defense, we mentioned there are 3 elements under Article 1 for self-defense. We have unlawful aggression on the part of the victim. The second element, reasonable necessity of the means employed to prevent or repel it on the part of the accused, and lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself or yung accused din natin. So ito yung tatlong elements natin that you will have to prove when you will raise justifying circumstance as a defense in your case. What are your rights that are included in your self-defense? Sabi ng batas natin, lahat tayo may karapatan na i-defend ang ating sarili, ang ating katawan, ang ating rights protected by the law such as our property. What else? Our honor. For example, sinampal yung mukha mo. Your face is actually part of your honor, or it is um, a characteristic trait of it represents honor as well. So kung sinampal ka, tapos sinampal mo din siya, that could actually be considered as self-defense. Okay, so we have here the requisites na mention natin kanina. Let's start with the first type of requisite, the first requisite for justifying circumstance, and that is unlawful aggression on the part of the victim. Okay, kailan daw may unlawful aggression? We mentioned that unlawful aggression would refer to an assault, an actual physical assault, or it could at least be a threatened assault, meaning ang unlawful aggression would either be in the form of an actual assault or an imminent or threatened assault. Actual, ibig sabihin, there has been a physical act, an overt act committed by the victim. That's why you had to defend yourself. While in the case of threatened or imminent, meaning he is about to exert a positive act or do a positive act that could harm you or that could now affect or negatively impact your rights protected by law. That's why you had to defend yourself. Okay, ano ba ang requisites or ano yung mga kailangan nating um, i-comply when it comes to unlawful aggression? So number 1 is the unlawful aggression should now cause peril to one's life, limb, or right. So yung ginawa o yung gagawin ng biktima sa'yo ay magkukos siya ng peril, danger, or injury to your life, your limb, or your right. So maapektuhan yung buhay mo, pwede kang mapatay, pwede kang mawalan ng parts ng katawan, or it could affect negatively some parts of your body, or a right protected by our law. Example na sinabi natin is your property or your honor. So yung unlawful aggression natin, kailangan either actual or imminent. Sinabi natin, pag actual, in this case, di ba? A, the victim already slashed B with a bolo. That is an actual assault. What about imminent unlawful aggression? In this particular case, there was an argument between A and B. Ang sabi ni B dito, papatayin kita when I see you. And Kinabukasan, nagkita nga si B at A. Anong ginawa ni B? May hawak siyang baril na nakatutok na kay A at palapit siya kay A. Because of this threatened, this imminent or possible shooting by B towards A already acted. A already acted in his defense. So what did he do? He brought out his gun, inunahan niya si B. In this particular instance, malaki po ang tsansa, very high ang risk. There is high chances na papatayin niya si A using a gun. Kasi nga, pinagbintangan yung buhay niya. What else? The second one, tinutukan na siya ng baril at palapit na rin siya sa akusado natin. So these are circumstances that will now justify unlawful aggression. Okay. So ano yung kabaliktaran naman ng kabaliktaran naman ng self-defense? There is what we call your retaliation. Retaliation or yung revenge. Acts of revenge is not considered or are not considered self-defense. In retaliation, the aggression that was begun by the injured party already ceased to exist when the accused attacked him. Ang retaliation kasi, ang nangyayari doon, kalangabalos, binalusam si tao. Remember, we mentioned that in unlawful aggression, kailangang actual or imminent. So, nangyari, may actual na physical assault that happened and there is, or kung hindi man actual physical assault, there should be imminent or impending doom on the part of the person defending himself. Yung act of self-defense should happen immediately or simultaneously with the unlawful aggression. Okay, I'll give you an example later on. Basta revenge is not considered self-defense. So we have here, related to retaliation, is this particular requisite of unlawful aggression, that there must be simultaneous meaning sabay, or succeeding. Ibig sabihin, it happened after, but immediately after the actual or imminent danger or the unlawful aggression, without appreciable interval of time. So, ibig sabihin, walang sufficient lapse of time between the self-defense at saka yung unlawful aggression ni victim. And there is no time nor occasion for the accused for deliberation or cool thinking because it was imperative for him to act on the spot. Okay, let's have a situation. While A was walking along the street one night, B approached him from behind and punched the back of his head. So sinuntok ni B si A. B kicked him continuously until A fell down. So yan, pinagbubugbog si A. And then eventually, ninakawan ni B si A. Kinuha yung cellphone at kinuha yung wallet at tumakbo na siya. Nung pauwi si A, nakita niya si B na kumakain ng balot sa may store. Dahil doon, naalala niya na siya yung sumuntok sa akin. Siya yung bumugbog sa akin kagabi or maybe a few hours before. So anong ginawa ni A? Kumuha siya ng malaking bato at pinukpok sa ulo ni B kasi nga si B yung nagnakaw ng cellphone ni A. Because of that, B was hospitalized for 3 months. Question: is the act of A hitting B with the stone considered self-defense? Kasi syempre, ang sasabihin ni A, self-defense lang yun kasi ninakawan niya ako kahapon at pinagbubugbog niya ako kahapon. Okay, sinabi natin, ang element ng unlawful aggression, the first element muna, meron bang actual or imminent danger on the part of the accused? There was, kasi nga binugbog siya, ninakawan pa siya. However, the second element would be, dapat yung self-defense daw ni A should have happened simultaneously, meaning sabay dun sa unlawful aggression or immediately after the unlawful aggression of the victim. In this particular case, meron ng sufficient lapse of time between between the act of punching A at saka yung pagbato ni A kay B. Meaning there was already lapse of time. May lumagpas na oras. Meaning, hindi na siya self-defense. Ang tawag na natin doon, retaliation or revenge. Remember, under the eyes of, of our law, we cannot put justice in our own hands. Hindi natin pwedeng gamitin. Hindi natin pwedeng i-justify yung pagbubugbog natin or pag-assault sa isang tao dahil may ginawa silang mali sa atin. That is what we call retaliation. Therefore, hindi po available ang defense of justifying circumstance na self-defense. Again, pag may lumagpas na oras, sufficient lapse of time, saka mo siya, anong term doon? Saka mo isuna binalusan, that is already considered not self-defense. That's retaliation already. So, hindi ka mabibigyan ng chance of using self-defense as an excuse. Paano pag habang binubugbog ni B si A, saktong may nakuha si A na bato at yun yung pinukpok sa ulo ni B? Could that be considered self-defense? Yes, because the act of hitting B with a stone happened simultaneously with the unlawful aggression of B. Next, it must come from the person who was attacked by the accused or person claiming self-defense. So meaning, yung unlawful aggression dapat, di ba sinabi natin, it should be unlawful aggression on the part of the victim. So meaning, dapat yung unlawful aggression, the imminent or actual danger came from the victim. Hindi dapat nanggaling sa iba. Okay, example. A and B were walking together when A saw their enemy C. Okay, so si A and B magbarkada. Nakita nila yung enemy ni A. Sino yung enemy ni A? C ang pangalan. A brought his knife out and was about to attack C. So si A yung naglabas ng knife at aatakehin niya si C. Nung nakita ni C na palapit na si A with a knife, what did he do? He brought out his gun. He shot A and B, which led to the death of both A and B. So remember here, magkasama si A and B, magbarkada. Nung nakita nila yung kalaban nila, si C, tumakbo si A palapit kay C with a knife. Because of this, nakita ni C, nilabas yung baril. Sino ang pinatay ni C using the gun? Both A and B. Question, can C now raise self-defense dun sa kaso ni A at saka B sa pagpatay ni A at saka ni B? In the case of A, he can set up the defense of self-defense. Bakit? The unlawful aggression came from A. Sino ba kasi yung unang lumapit with a knife? It was A. So dapat lang that could be considered self-defense. However, pwede bang i-raise ni C ang self-defense against B? No. Bakit hindi? Kasi sinabi natin, yung unlawful aggression dapat manggaling sa biktima. In this case, B, was there unlawful aggression on the part of B? Wala. If you look at the situation, wala namang ginawa si B, kasama lang na si A, who was the one who attacked C. So in this particular case, C can no longer raise the justifying circumstance of self-defense against B. Okay. Next one we have here, not merely threats or threatening stance or posture. Insulting words without physical aggression is not unlawful aggression. What do we mean by that? Ang unlawful aggression daw natin, kailangang yung severity ng aggression ng victim natin should be very high. Dapat malala. Hindi enough ang threats, hindi enough ang siga kasi ang itsura niya kaya ko dinefend ang sarili ko. That is not considered unlawful aggression. So it should be something that is severe or it would now um, it would need the use of acts of self-defense before you can do that. So let's have an example here. A and B are neighbors. Due to a long history of misunderstanding between them, A said to B that he will have him killed tomorrow. So magkaaway talaga si A and B. Ang sabi ni A, papatayin kita bukas. B, nakikita mo. Because of that, because of the threat to kill him, anong ginawa ni B? Inunahan siya kasi natakot siya. Anong ginawa niya? He started punching A already. Pinagsusuntok na niya si A dahil dun sa threat na sinabi ni B. Ni A, sorry. In this particular instance, ano yung unlawful aggression? Ang unlawful aggression daw dito, according to B, is A threatening B with his life. Sabi niya, papatayin ako. Eh di malamang anong gagawin ko? Suntukin ko na lang siya, unahan ko na lang. Kaya pinagsusuntok ni B siya. In that particular instance, that cannot be considered self-defense because sinabi natin, mere threats or a threatening posture is not enough to constitute unlawful aggression. So yung pag-iinsulto without any physical assault or physical aggression cannot be considered unlawful aggression. Paano pag sinabi niya, papatayin kita bukas, pero habang sinasabi niya yun, sinusuntok na niya si B. That could be unlawful aggression kasi may physical act being done by A already. It's not mere insulting words or it's not mere threats. Pero anong puwedeng gawin ni B dito, puwede rin siyang magpunta yung nag-counterfile, eh. Mag-counterfile siya ng mga kaso din, threats for example. Okay. Another, requisite for unlawful aggression, no unlawful aggression if there was agreement to fight. So we have magkaklase kayo, nag-aaway kayo, kung nag-away kayo dahil sa siopaw, nag-agawan kayo ng siopaw tapos biglang nag-agree kayo magkaklase A and B. Bukas magsuntukan na lang tayo para magkaalaman, ayun. So they agreed both to meet tomorrow to have a fist fight, magbugbugan, at yung isa natalo, nabugbog siya, puwede ba siyang nag-file siya ng kaso against the other party? Ang sabi naman nung isa, self-defense lang naman yon. You cannot raise self-defense as an excuse kung pareho kayong parties nag-agree to fight each other. So again, there is no unlawful aggression if you both agreed to fight. Next, the belief of the accused may be considered determining the existence of unlawful aggression. What do you mean by this? Remember yung sinabi ko sa inyong mistake of fact? Yung nangyari kay Achong, the case of Achong. He was the cook in a particular military unit or parang police unit somewhere in the south. And then eventually may nag-knock sa door niya at night, eh takot siya sa mga magnanakaw. So he tried to ask them, kung lalabas ka dyan or pipilitin mong pumasok, I have a knife, I can stab you to death. So yun, wala pa rin. Biglang nagbukas, akala niya nasuntok siya dahil doon sa upuan. Eventually, he started stabbing the person. And he eventually saw na yung kaklase pala niya, na pinaprank lang siya. So that is what we call mistake of fact. Can he now raise self-defense there? Yes. Kasi, according to our requisites of unlawful aggression, the belief of the accused may be considered in determining the existence of unlawful aggression. Also, yung example natin dun sa army veteran na umiihi, that could also be a particular instance of mistake of fact. Kahit hindi naman yun yung totoo, but according to the accused, that is what he believed. That is what he believed as the facts of the case or the facts of his circumstance, then that could be considered unlawful aggression. Okay. So ano yung mga hindi daw unlawful aggression? Meaning what will be considered as lawful aggression or an instance where the justifying circumstance of self-defense will not be accepted. So if the victim here exercised lawful aggression, we will have examples later on or maybe during our discussion na lang next week. Fulfillment of a duty, exercise of a right, or ayan, rightful owner, possessor of a particular property. Okay, let's go to the second element. Reasonable necessity of the means employed to prevent or repel it. So sinabi natin, dapat yung ginamit na dahas ng ating akusado is enough or it is justified. Dapat lang na ginamit niya yon to defend himself. So let's have here, what do we mean by reasonable necessity of the means employed? Ito pa yung mga requisites. Ano mga kailangan nating i-prove? The necessity of the course of action taken by the person, the means used, at dapat reasonable yung ginamit. Okay, so these are the three things that we have to prove. Let's have an example. Someone attacked you with a knife, but you were carrying a firearm and you shot him. Okay. Question. Was there necessity of the course of action? Meaning, dapat lang ba na mag-respond? Dapat lang ba na i-defend ng tao yung sarili niya dito sa particular case? If someone attacked you with a knife, do you think dapat lang na gumalaw ka? Dapat lang na i-defend mo ang sarili mo? Of course, in this particular instance, dapat lang. Because you're about to die. You're about to be injured by another person. So dun sa first requisite natin, the necessity of the course of action, yung question that we're trying to answer here is, necessary ba na umakto ka or necessary ba na magresponde ka dun sa ginagawa ng biktima sa'yo? Kung yes, then okay, let's tick that particular requisite. What about this one? Someone attacked you with a knife, but you blocked it, and the assailant ran away. You chased him and killed him. Okay, let's ask the question. In this particular instance, dapat ba na gumalaw? Dapat ba na rumisponde? Dapat bang may gagawin si akusado natin? Remember here, although the person attacked you with a knife, you were able to block it. Ito na po yung pag-defend mo sa sarili mo. Kaya tumakbo yung assailant. Question. Pag tumakbo na yung assailant natin or yung victim natin, hahabulin ba natin at papatayin natin siya? Tama lang ba na habulin natin at patayin siya? Not anymore because there is no longer unlawful aggression there. Tumakbo na siya. Of course, we would say na dapat balusan tayo kasi syempre inatake ka eh. But remember, sinabi ko nga, we shouldn't really be putting justice in our hands. Let's file a case against them or maybe have him arrested. I-report tayo. So in this particular case, pag tumakbo na yung assailant natin, there is no justification to kill that person. Ipahuli mo, pero huwag mong patayin naman. Okay. The second element that we have to prove will now be the necessity of the means employed. What does that mean? Is it necessary for you to use that particular means or method in defending yourself? Kinakailangan ba na gumamit ka sa ganyang pamamaraan? Okay, let's have this situation. Someone attacked you with a knife, but you were carrying a firearm and you shot him. In this particular instance, since the only weapon that you have is a firearm, then yes, you can actually use your firearm kasi you are being attacked with a deadly weapon already, especially pag masyadong malapit na yung tao sa'yo. Then, that is justified. Yung paggamit ng baril in that particular instance is allowed. What about this one? Someone shouted at you and slapped you in the face. So, sinigawan na nga yung mukha mo mismo. Sinampal ka pa sa mukha. Okay, nagalit ka. So, what did you do? Remember, this is a considered um, not only injury to your body, but it is also injury to your honor. So, because of that, nagalit ka, nilabas mo yung baril mo, you shot the person. Question. Ang paggamit ba ng baril dun sa akto na ginawa ng biktima natin na sinampal ka at sinigawan ka, is it justified? Tama lang ba na gumamit ng baril pag sinampal ka? Di ba, no? If we look at it rationally, that does not make sense. Ba't mo babaril yung taong gumamit lang naman ng kamay? Although it hurts, your ego maybe will be hurt there, but it does not justify the means of using a gun to shoot the person. Okay. Paano pag sinampal mo naman? That could be considered a valid defense on your end kasi nga sinampal ka in the first place. Pero yung paggamit ng baril, pinatay mo siya, that is already excessive means of defending yourself. It's not even self-defense there already. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, ano bang kailangan natin? So, kung kutsilyo ba ang ginamit against you, kailangan kutsilyo din ang hanapin natin? Not necessarily. Hindi kailangan ng perfect equality between the weapon you will be using versus the weapon used by the victim or the unlawful aggression used by the victim. Hindi kailangan. Ang importante is what we call material commensurability. What does that mean? If we try to analyze the situation, there is rational equivalence or tama lang na gamitin mo yung particular na bagay na yan or weapon na yan to defend yourself dun sa aggression na ginawa ng biktima natin. So, syempre, kung knife ang ginamit sa'yo at palapit na siya, ang meron lang sa'yo is baril. Gamitin mo yung baril. Okay, 'pag sinampal ka, for example, remember, hindi naman siguro nakakapatay ang sampal, di ba? So, you can also use your hand for that one. Do not use a gun because there's no material commensurability. Excessive ang paggamit ng baril versus sa pagsampal lang ng biktima sa'yo. Another, paano 'pag pinagtutulungan ka ng tatlong tao, pinagbubugbog ka ng tatlong tao? Siyempre hindi hindi enough ang paggamit din ng fist. Does that mean that you also have to use your fist or kailangang bugbog din ang gamitin mo? Hindi, kasi talagang maa-outnumber ka diyan. So maybe you can use a particular weapon to defend yourself, to prevent these three people from further injuring you. Especially if, for example, you have a knife or may baril ka, but you do not have to kill them, please. Iwasan natin yung mga gano'n. Okay. So, ibig sabihin, in determining the reasonableness of the means employed, we have to look into the nature and the quality of the weapon that was used on the part of the victim at saka yung part ng perpetrator natin. And we also have here yung physical condition or yung character and size rin ng um, character and size rin ng ating victim and ng um, perpetrator natin. So, siyempre, 'pag babae, for example, anong ginawa niya? Sinusuntok niya yung lalaki. Tama bang gumamit yung lalaki ng kutsilyo? Eh, the man is, when it comes to size, mas malaki yung lalaki kaysa dun sa babaeng yun. So, we will have to consider those factors as well. That's the reason why kailangan it should happen in the court. We have to determine muna kasuhan natin. Huwag natin masyadong, 'wag tayo masyadong maging feeling na 'di bale may justifying circumstance na self-defense. Delikado 'yun. Example, 'di ba, in a particular case, where a teenager was dragged by police officers there. Teenager, imagine, a 17-year-old teenager versus 4 na police officers. Kahit na may deadly weapon ang teenager, for example, may knife, tapos 4 na police officer. If you look at the situation there, sino ba ang mas malamang doon? Sino ba ang mas laman dun sa dalawang yun? Siyempre yung police officer kasi 4 sila. Lahat sila may baril. Eh yung teenager, mag-isa lang niya. In that particular instance, malayo talaga or malabong gamitin ang self-defense as an excuse. Okay. So we have here a summary of the requisites for each type of defense. So yun sa self-defense, there are 3. Similar with your defense of relative and stranger, yung pinagkaiba lang talaga ng tatlong yan would now be their third element. Parehong kailangan ng unlawful aggression at reasonable necessity ng means on all kinds of on all kinds of defense. However, in the third element, ayan, ito na. Ito yung kailangang i-prove for defense of strangers and relatives. But we will be discussing that later on. Okay. And then lastly would now be your third element. There should be lack of sufficient provocation on the part of the person defending himself. Remember, in this particular instance, kailangan hindi, I forgot the Tagalog term for that. But in Ilocano term, di panagkarit. Dapat hindi enough yung provocation ng ating accused in that particular instance. Kasi 'pag ma-prove nila na merong sufficient provocation on the part of the accused, that cannot be considered self-defense. So I'll be giving an example in the next video on a particular case of lack of sufficient provocation.